Hey everyone, this is Jack. This is going to be a quick bar-by-bar review for the S&P 500 futures contract for Friday, May 22nd, 2026. You can see my comments and chart markup of the day. And with the daily chart, you can see that the market's been in a strong bull trend. It became parabolic, and that led to at least a two-legged correction down. And it looks like the market's trying to form a double bottom with a couple of swing points here, and we're getting a reversal up. The day before yesterday was a pretty good entry bar for the bulls, buying down here and buying above the bad buy signal bar high. And on the second bull bar yesterday, the market gapped down and tested the high of the bad buy signal bar high and rallied, and we closed above yesterday's high, forming another bull trend bar with a conspicuous tail above the bar. And so because we have a reversal up with a couple of trend bars, it's very likely that the bulls are going to try to get some follow through here. So it's likely that we rally above the high of yesterday. And for the bears, they see the past 2 days as a two-legged correction from the move down. We have a tight bear channel. This is a two-legged correction somewhere around the midpoint, and the bears are going to be selling at and above this bar, looking for a test down below the low of the prior bar, probably to find buyers. The market's always in long. We're forming a trading range in a bull trend, and eventually we'll probably end up forming a broader bull channel, looking for a new all-time high. On the 5-minute chart, make the bars a little bit bigger. We have a pretty big gap open. It's a little bit bigger than a third of an average day's range, almost half. And because it's large, that's climax. The close of the prior day, pretty far below, about 35 points or so. And the high of the day, not far below 1. We pulled back after the open of the bar, almost got there. The orange line here is the midpoint of the Globex range, and we are closing after testing the Globex high here, this green line. And this red line down here at the moving average is the Globex low. So for the bears, they're hoping this is a buy climax after a big gap up and hoping for sellers above yesterday's high right here. And so they're going to be looking for an opening reversal down. And for the bulls, we're in a bull trend. This is a big bull breakout with follow through. They're going to be buying the close, looking for a pullback, a second leg up, and a trend from the open. But with the rest of the days this week, probably today will form a trading range on the open. So we need some more information. Bar 2 is good follow through for the bulls, but a smaller bar, a smaller body, and closing above 1. So possibly trapping the limit order shorts above 1. So we may pull back here, but this is good for a trend for the open bull. This is almost what you want to see. You would rather see less of a tail on 1 and a bigger body and stronger close on 2. So possibly always in long and going higher, but if we do form a trading range, the bears will get a pullback and will test down into the range of 1. Bar 3, we found sellers above 2, and we found buyers below 2. So now we're forming a tight trading range, and the bears are trying to get a reversal down, but because of the tail below the bar, I imagine we find buyers at the close or below the bar, and we need to retest the highs and get the bulls a second leg from the rally on 1 and 2. We have a doji. We tested up above the high close on 2, and we found more sellers. We have a slightly lower high and a slightly higher low. We have an inside bar. It's a sell signal, but not very strong. Probably buyers not that far below, but if the bears are strong, it could create a big bear breakout. So that's the risk for the bulls. And the risk for the bears is this is just an implied two-legged correction, and we'll have buy the close bulls at and below for a new high of the day. Better to wait. Bear breakout, but weak, reversing back up above the close, above the low of bar 4. But I imagine sellers not that far above. We have a micro double top with 2 and 4 and a bear breakout. And though it looks weak at the moment, we may find more sellers up here, and we may need to go lower to find more aggressive buyers. Bar 6, pretty good bull reversal bar, possible micro double bottom, 5 and 6. And a good buy signal, so you will have buy the close bulls buying here, and we're probably looking for a new high of the day. But as with most days, we're probably going to form a trading range on the open, So there's always a risk of a surprise breakout in the opposite direction despite having a good looking setup. So because bar 7, also, this is bar 6. It's 10 a.m. Very often there's some sort of news event taking place around 10 a.m. And I think there was this morning, but regardless, it's always a good idea to probably wait for the first 6 or 7 bars or 8 bars or so before deciding what direction the market is going to move, because very often it will do the opposite of what it looks like it wants to do because of some news report. Even if there isn't a news report, the market still behaves as if there is. So always a good idea to wait. And bar 7, trapping the buy the close bulls, running the stops, and then any buy the close bulls using a wide stop, they got to be worried about this strong close far below the swing point, far below the low of bar 6. And the next target is going to be the low of the day, bar 1, and ultimately the high of yesterday or the moving average. And judging by the selling pressure up here and the trapped bulls, I imagine we go sideways to down here. We may pull back and let out the limit order buyers below 5 and 6 before we go lower. But if the bears are strong enough, the pullback will not reach those lows, and we will continue to trap the bulls into a losing position, and that'll drive the market even further. Bar 8, traders sold a close of 7, and we broke out and tested the moving average, the high of yesterday, the low of 1, and we found some buyers and pulled back. We could have an implied two-legged move down, possible double bottom with 1, holding above the moving average. You could say it's a wedge bottom with 3, 5, and 7 or 8, but it doesn't look very good. And if it is a wedge bottom, we broke through the bottom of it and we're still below it. So this may be a pullback, and it may lead to more sideways to down here. But so far it doesn't look all that convincing of a bear trend. Looks more like a trading range, so possibly more buyers at the close and below 8. But the risk for the buyers is sellers above. We still have trapped bulls up here, and we have a gap between the 5 low and the pullback so far. Sellers above 8, no surprise, and a strong close with this reversal bar. But the problem is we're not that far above the low of 8 where we found aggressive buying, and we're not that far above support, the midpoint of the Globex range, yesterday's high, and now the moving average. So I imagine we go lower and test those prices, but I imagine we find buyers not much further below. And you can see we had buy the close bulls initially, early entry expecting a double bottom here or a wedge bottom, and we rallied after the close of 9, but ultimately we found more sellers up here and we're reversing down. So I imagine we go at least a little bit lower, but a warning that we're probably going to form a trading range and pull back soon. Bar 11 completes the wedge, and we have a pretty big tail on the bottom of the bar, so it becomes likely here that we reverse up and pull back at a minimum, if not form a wedge bottom, a low of the day, and get an opening reversal back up to the high of the day, or maybe the trap price for the bulls on 6. Possibly sellers above. We have several pushes down, so they may be exhausted and may be waiting for higher prices to sell. But the risk for the bulls is that this is a trending trading range bear trend day, and whatever pullback we get, maybe it will stall and find sellers for a double top with the high of 9 and lead to another move down. But in any case, we probably pull back here. And then bar 12, a pretty good looking bull reversal bar, breaking out above 11 and closing above. It's likely that we'll get some follow through here and probably a couple of legs sideways to up, probably to at least the trap price for the bulls buying above 8. We have a small follow through bar, but a good close, and closing far enough above 12. It makes me think that limit order traders are pretty disappointed here, and now probably both sides of the market are expecting at least another follow-through bar up to here at a minimum, or a pullback in a second leg at a minimum. And 14, double top with 9, and a bull bar closing above the prior bar's high, so not a good sell signal bar, probably buyers not far below, and we get some more follow-through with 15. Now we're closing a little bit above the high of 9, it looks like. So probably whatever pullback we get here will lead to a trading range rather than a bear trend, and probably the bulls need a second leg up. You can also look at this as a big bull breakout, a pullback, and we're holding at the moving average, and now we're trying to create a bull channel up to a new high of the day. For the bears, they see a trading range. This is a 50% pullback of this move down, and we'll find sellers at and above this bar, and we'll retest the low close. But for the bulls, we have a wedge bottom, a low of the day, and now we're reversing up into, at a minimum, a trading range, looking for a new high of the day. Sideways, breakout pullback short, but not very good context. Bar 16 looks like a pullback for the bulls. They're going to look for a little bit more sideways to down and then consider buying. And we have a gap. We have a gap between the high of 11 and the pullback of 16. So there could be trapped limit order bears selling here. Sell the closed bears on 15, looking for a second leg down and a retest of the low close, but we're holding above the moving average, and this isn't a very strong sell signal bar, so probably sideways here. And bulls looking for trend resumption, but we have a small signal bar, and it's basically a doji. It's probably a triangle, so whatever breakout we get may end up reversing. But so far, the double top looks like it's not a very good double top. We have a close above that point, and we've moved far enough above it that it doesn't look very good. And now we have possibly an implied two-legged move sideways, and the bulls are going to want trend resumption here. Bar 18 breaking out but not closing above 15, the swing point, so that's a bit of a problem for the bulls. But I imagine we go at least a little bit higher, and then more follow-through, this time closing above the swing point and the prior bar. Not a very big bar, about average size, and a lot of overlap with 18, but probably we go a little bit higher. Whatever pullback we get, we probably get a third push-up for a parabolic wedge or possibly a wedge bear flag. You could draw a wedge bear flag like this, and if that's the wedge bear flag, then we're breaking above that, and we may get a measured move up if the wedge bear flag fails. And it looks like it's continuing to fail, bar 20. Now we have less overlap, a strong close, another pretty uniform bar, and I imagine we're going to target at least the trap price for the bulls, the Globex high, and possibly a new high of the day. We have a two-legged move up. We have 4 bars in the first leg, and we have 4 bars in the second leg. We may get another bar up, but we may pull back. And if the pullback is strong, the bulls may reconsider the premise of a trending trading range bull trend day, and it may turn into a trading range, and we may find more sellers in this area. Sideways, but a doji, probably buyers not far below, sellers at the close of 20, but it looks like buyers at and below 20 as well for another push up. And we have a gap, the low of 21, a pullback, and the high of 15, a breakout point. So probably the bulls get a pullback and another leg up. 22, pretty strong bar, third push up, late strength, pretty good close, not much overlap with the prior bars, and now we're back above the Globex high. So I imagine we find sellers here and above, and the bears are going to try to create a trading range and a swing back down. The sell-off a little bit more impressive than the rally, but the rally has good control over price and time, and we're trapping limit order traders selling above things. So that will limit the downside, at least temporarily. And if we do get a pullback here, unless it's strong, it's likely to lead to a trading range and then trend resumption rather than an opposite trend. But a sell signal bar, after 3 pushes up, we got a wedge top, a possible double top, possibly a failure at the Globex high. It's a reasonable candidate for a swing down. We probably get at least a couple of small legs down, but this channel up is pretty tight. If we do get a couple of legs sideways to down, we may find buyers around the midpoint, maybe the moving average or the breakout point, and the bulls will look for a second leg up. So not very good context for a short. And then 24, another climax, another possible wedge top. But a parabolic wedge is a breakout on the next higher time frame. And it looks like the double top has failed so far, and now the bears are going to look for another double top with the high close on 2, but the bulls are looking for a new high of the day. We have a tight channel. This is really a small pullback bull trend on a smaller time frame, which is a very strong breakout on this time frame and the next higher time frame. But this move down is a problem for the bulls. You know, we moved down pretty quickly in about 5 or 6 bars, and it's taken about 12 bars to get back up here. So what worries me is that today could be a trading range day. We have about half an average day's range so far, and so far we still just have a trading range. We have a big bull breakout, a pullback, and now we're back up near the high of the day. But if you just look at this, you know, you can draw a box. We're inside of a trading range, so it's very likely that we'll find sellers at a new high of the day. But we are in a small pullback trend, So they may get overpowered by aggressive buying. But if I'm long, I'm certainly thinking about getting flat. And if I'm flat, I'm thinking about what the reversal looks like for maybe getting short. We have another reversal bar, a pretty good close, a tail above and below, and it's fairly small. So maybe we trigger the sell and go a little bit lower, but there's possibly buyers down here at the last climax low on 24. We also have trap limit order traders in the rally, so that may limit the downside, but it's a reasonable candidate for a swing down, betting on this being a climax. But I think that's a low probability bet at the moment. At the moment, we don't have that. We have a decent sell signal bar, but we may need a second entry to make it a little bit higher probability. 26 triggered and pulled back, tested the high close, and let out the disappointed bulls. So reasonable to sell at and above this bar, betting on a trading range and a second leg down for the bears. 27, we channeled lower, reversed up again, but another doji bar, and that's a problem for the bulls. Why aren't we moving higher, and why are we going sideways to down? That's probably because we're trying to form a trading range, and we're right in an area where we sold off aggressively earlier. So we may find more aggressive selling at and above these bars. And that's why we have 28. Pretty good sell signal, but possible wedge, bull flag, and closing the gap. Possibly buyers at the close or low of 23 or 24. But a reasonable sell signal, betting on a swing short. Low probability because of the overlap and tight trading range. It'll be hard for the breakout to get very far before it pulls back into this tight trading range, I imagine. And enough buying pressure, there may be more buyers at the close than sellers. And that's what we have with 29. Pulling back, we have trapped bulls buying above a weak high one near the top of a tight trading range, so possibly more sellers above for another push down. Not a very good looking double bottom, and I can see a wedge bull flag here, but not very good. Reasonable to buy, but you probably need to use a wide stop looking for a new high of the day. But it appears that the bulls may be running out of steam here. We're going sideways. We have a doji. I imagine disappointed bulls probably look to buy lower, and probably bears are disappointed will probably get out of their shorts if we retest down here. Possible wedge bull flag if we do break out below 30, so I wouldn't sell it. But it would be interesting to think about selling up here and buying down here. Outside bar in a doji, tight trading range for the last 5 or 6 bars. Whatever breakout we get needs to be pretty strong to convince me that it'll get very far. Otherwise, it's a limit order market with buyers below and sellers above. Bear bar, but still possible wedge bull flag above the moving average. Always in long, not a strong sell, but reasonable if you're betting on the breakout. But the breakout needs to be strong, and so far it is not strong. We have an endless pullback down. It's not a micro channel, but it is a tight bear channel. It's not covering much distance down, so that makes me think it's still probably a pullback for this bull trend. But this is a problem for the bulls. The longer that we go sideways to down, the lower the probability gets of trend resumption and a new high of the day, like the bulls want. So still a limit order market, better to be selling above things and buying below things. And then bar 34. This is the bear breakout that the bears have been hoping for. They were looking for this aggressive selling to show back up, and so far it hasn't until 34. But the problem with 34 is it's the breakout of a wedge bull flag, and it's not that impressive bar. It's maybe about average size with these bars, and we're breaking out not far enough below the moving average and possibly not far enough below the lows to trap the limit order buyers into thinking that they're in the wrong side of the market. So the risk for the bears here is that we find more buyers here looking for a wedge bull flag and a failed breakout for the first test of the moving average in the last couple of hours. And the risk for the bulls is that we're getting a bear breakout of a bull flag and we're going to test back down to the climax low. So reasonable to sell here, but you got to be quick to make decisions. We triggered the sell on 34 and we bounced. That is a good indication that this breakout may not get very far. And we went down on 34, up on 35, and now back down, and we have a bull bar. So that is technically a micro double bottom with a buy signal on some smaller time frame. So we may find buy the closed bulls here and possibly below the bar as well. 36, strong buy signal, but a lot of overlap here and probably sellers not far above any of these highs. So I would not be very interested in being long. I would rather be interested in taking limit order fades above and below things. Bulls got some follow through, but it looks like we tested the high closes up here and found sellers, and now we're reversing down a second time. Similar situation to 34. If there was going to be a bear breakout and a swing down, this is a pretty good signal for it. But again, we have a endless pullback that's functioning like a tight trading range, and we have two bull bars for the last two bars, and not very good context for the bears. So there may be more buyers down here than sellers. Reasonable to get short, but you got to be very quick to make decisions. We're going sideways again with 38. We have a double bottom with 35. So if we start to reverse up, we could make a new high and test up to either of these highs and make a new high of the day. So the bears, hoping for a swing, aren't getting it, and at some point they have to see that the other side of the market may get trend resumption. But more sideways here, not a very strong sell, and not a very strong buy. Possibly buyers below these lows, but the risk for the bulls is that now the market's in breakout mode and it's looking for this new direction, and that new direction could be down. So probably better to just be flat and waiting for the breakout. This breakout doesn't look very strong. We're still in the tight trading range, but we have a bull bar and we have a bull breakout. It looks like we're having a hard time getting above the Globex high again. But we've been in a tight trading range, so I imagine we're going to stay in that tight trading range until we're clearly not. And because we have a big tail above this bar, I imagine there's sellers above either of these highs and buyers not far below the lows. We do have a sell signal, but it's weak and it's a bull bar, so it's not very good. Another good reason to think about buying below. Good buy signal bar 41, middle of the day, trading range in the middle of the day. Reasonable to buy, looking for a swing up and a new high of the day, but tight trading range, sellers above any of these highs, we probably pull back and go more sideways here. And then inside bar 42 with a prominent tail, probably buyers not far below, possibly bulls giving up on the premise of trend resumption, and possibly bears selling the close looking for that swing down, but we're still sideways in a trading range, and now we have a triangle. So better to be flat and waiting for the breakout. And here's the breakout. It looks impressive. It has a strong close, but it's small, and about half the bar is overlapping the tight trading range, and we're not far enough above the triangle to trap the limit order traders that are selling, for example, the high of 37. If I got short with the high of 37, I wouldn't be too disappointed with the follow through here on 44. And we technically have three pushes up, 40, 41, and 43. Possible double top 31, 44, or 28, 44. We're right near the high close. It doesn't look like we got there, or actually, yes, we did get there. We tested it to the tick and pulled back. So I imagine more sellers above, and we probably get a pullback here. And then a reversal with follow through, but small bars, probably buyers not that far below these lows. We're above the moving average. Possibly still always in long. Bulls are trying to get trend resumption, breaking out of a triangle, but it's failing. Whenever you get a failed breakout of a triangle, it's likely to test the bottom of the triangle. So that'll make the low of 43 and the low of 38 a test target for the bears. For the bulls, this is just a pullback, and they're going to be buying a pullback to the middle of the triangle around the moving average or below the tight trading range. So probably better to be short than long, and probably still better to be flat than short, because this isn't a very good setup for the bears either. But we get bar 46, good looking breakout bar, but the problem with it is that we are closing barely below the trading range lows here, and we have a big climax inside of a trading range still. If this was going to be a strong bear breakout, why isn't it closing far below those lows? Bears were able to make a scalp, and that's good for the bears, but we're right back at the lows of the trading range, and this could be a climax and a bear trap. So the bears selling the close here need to get some follow through, and if they don't, they need to be quick to make decisions. For the bulls, the trend resumption up was good, but we're still in the trading range, and now we're just testing the bottom of the trading range. You could look at this as a protracted wedge bull flag, that led to a double bottom bull flag. So there may be buyers at the close or below 46. We still have a pullback that's not even half of the rally, and we are below the moving average, but the problem is we're at support. We triggered the sell with 46 and reversed up pretty aggressively. We have a pretty good looking bull reversal bar closing a little bit above the Globex high. Good for the bulls. Probably will go a little bit higher, but I imagine sellers above any of these highs. And then we get 48, a big surprise bull bar. Now, whenever you get a climax like this that is dramatically bigger than the prior bars and at a new high or low of the day, you have to be wondering if it's a climax and it will fail. So, because the bar is big and the risk is big, we still have only traveled about 60% of an average day's range, but if you add that with the opening gap, that's about an average day's range so far. So the market doesn't have to go much further to be average range, and we've had a lot of trading range price action here, so we may pull back and test into that range. So the best thing to do here is wait for the pullback and assess the strength of the pullback. And this is probably the swing down that the bears have been waiting for. We have a buy climax that corrected sideways to down forever, and we have a double bottom that worked out for the bulls. They got their measured move up, probably. If you measure from here to here, that's probably about a measured move. We have a new high of the day. We let out the trapped buyers that were buying the breakout over here, and we have a bunch of limit order sellers that are happy with their positions. And we have a strong sell signal bar after a buy climax in what's probably going to be a trading range day. We could have a trading range bull trend day, but so far this isn't very good for that case. And this is a better it's better to be thinking about a possible trading range for the last part of the day here rather than more trend resumption up, because we are trapping all the buy the close bulls with a strong bear reversal bar. And I imagine that we test down to the low of 48, the Globex high, and possibly the low close of 46 from here. Bad follow through for the reversal down, not good for the bears, but probably just a pullback and failing to reach the high close. So if we do not reach the high close and turn down again, that will give the bears more confidence that we'll test down to the low of 48 or the close of 46. And we have an inside bar and a bear bar. Probably we trigger the sell, maybe buyers below 50, but I imagine buy the close bulls got to be wondering if this will lead to a swing down in a trading range instead of trend resumption. I would not be buying below these bars. I would be more interested in being short. 52, a strong sell signal. Just above the moving average, we could find buyers there, but to me we have a buy climax on a trading range and we're high in the range, so we probably are aiming for the low of the range, and I imagine we go sideways to down. Climax with a tail testing below 48 and closing below the Globex high again. We found a lot of buyers over here earlier, so possibly more buyers at and below this bar, but I imagine we want to get to that low close on 46 at some point soon. Pullback and a doji, probably sellers not far above, but probably buyers not far below, and we actually had both. We have a bear bar, we're channeling sideways to down, and it looks like we almost got to that low close. We might need to get there, but we could find more buyers here and probably more sellers above. A second reversal up, but a small, weak bull bar. I imagine sellers not far above the moving average. And we're trying to channel down again with a bear bar, finding some buying below 56, but I imagine more buying below 55 in the 46 close if we can get there. And now we have a tight trading range. Over here, the tight trading range was primarily above the moving average, and now we're forming a tight trading range below the moving average. And whenever that happens, if it's mostly above the moving average, that's a good indication that we'll get trend resumption up. Whenever it's below the moving average, it's a good indication that we may get trend resumption down. So I would be worried about sellers above, and it looks like we're back into a limit order market. It seems like the market really likes this price. We tried to get out of it a couple of times, and we're right back into it. So I imagine we go more sideways here. Bull bar looking for trend resumption, but possible double top of 55. Sellers at the close, 60. Reasonable sell signal looking for a test of the 58, 55 low, but tight trading range, so possibly disappointing here. And then follow through, consecutive bear bars after consecutive bull bars. Testing the trap price, 56 low for the bears and pulling back. I imagine we go at least a little bit lower, but tight trading range. So buyers below, sellers above. Another bear bar. So now we have 3 consecutive bear bars. We're building some more selling pressure. I imagine more sellers above, and we go more sideways. Bull bar, but still below the moving average, and a tail, probably more sellers above. And then 64, tight trading range, sell signal but weak, possibly buyers below 62. But if you're a bull, you got to be wondering about all this selling pressure. We have a lot of bear bars and not a lot of strength and not a lot going for the bulls. So I'd be worried about a downside breakout here. Tight trading range. Looks like we may be forming a triangle here, and now the triangle here is more clear. We tried to break out below, failed. We made a bigger triangle, and now we'll probably try to break out above. But I imagine we find sellers around the high close here of 59. Inside bar with a strong close, reasonable sell signal, but tight trading range. The bears need to be strong if we're going to get the breakout, and 67 is strong. The problem with 67 is the tail, but look at the close. We are far enough below these lows that limit order buyers have to be wondering if the pullback will function like a pullback and lead to lower prices. If I'm a bull and I'm buying 67, I would be pretty disappointed with the size of 67, and I would be very quick to get out of my position if we started to pull back here. And if I'm a bear, I think I'm happy, but I'm wondering how deep that pullback will be. So if we start to reverse up aggressively, it would be a good idea to cut the trade and think about selling higher or even reversing. We've had so much trading range behavior up here, this breakout could fail. You know, if there was going to be a failure, this would be a good looking start to the failure. But because of the context, the consolidation below the moving average and turning down like this from the moving average, that's characteristic of bear trends. So this could lead to the swing down that the bears have been hoping for since the buy climax ended on 24. We get follow through, a possible micro double bottom, and a bear close inside the range of the prior bar. Not good. This could easily lead to a reversal back up into the tight trading range here, but I imagine we find sellers in the range of 67 and go a little bit lower. We have an inside bar with a bear close. We're getting follow through, but it's weak. This could be a bear trap. This could be a micro double bottom. We could reverse up, but I imagine still sellers somewhere up here, and we may need to go a little bit lower. Channeling lower, but weak, getting late in the day. This could reverse up and test back in here at any moment. So the bears really need to get consecutive bars with strong closes if we're going to get the downside breakout. We're still channeling lower. We have a spike and channel bear trend. That's basically a tight trading range. Probably sellers above these highs and possibly buyers below. And we're right around the trap price for the bulls, or excuse me, for the bears who are selling below 15. And it looks like we tested it on 71 and pulled back. So we may bounce here, but I imagine sellers not that far above unless the bulls produce a strong reversal bar. And instead we get the downside breakout. Possible sell to close bar, possible spike and climax. So this may bounce here, but I imagine sellers on a pullback. Buyers below, and a pretty good looking reversal up, but probably sellers not that far above, possibly around the open of the day. We've had a pretty quiet trading range day for the most part. We had a swing down, swing up, a trading range, and now we're trying to get a swing down. And on days like today, it's reasonable to think that the day might close somewhere around the open. So because this bear breakout is not that strong, we may find more buyers below, and we may end up closing somewhere around the open of the day. So it's a reasonable buy, but I think it's low probability. Probably sellers not that far above, and 74 looks like a pullback. So probably sellers here. Breakout pullback, possible double bottom, 73. We might need to get down to the low close on 11 to find the aggressive buyers that push us back up to the open of the day. So I imagine we go sideways to down here. And then 76, looks like we did just that. That's the low close, and we tested one tick below it and reversed up. So possibly buyers at and below this bar or test up to the open of the day, possibly. Doji, sellers above, but a weak sell. Probably we need to go higher to find aggressive sellers. And then 78, tested the open of the day, pulled back. possibly buyers below the lows. We have a tight trading range, possibly a double bottom, 73, 76, but doesn't look very good. I imagine we just go sideways here into the close, and that's pretty much what we did. So overall, trading range day. You could say the bears tried to get their bear trending trading range day, but they did not. And the bulls tried to get their trending trading range day, but ultimately they did not. Pretty difficult day. A lot of trading range price action through the middle of the day, but pretty decent swings here early on in the day. So what do we do on Monday? Well, we have a doji, a third push up, and a minor reversal in a trading range inside of a bull trend. Probably we're trying to form a broader bull channel and we'll go higher. I imagine we find buyers somewhere below today, but we may need to go back down to the double bottom to find them. We may find more sellers up here around the high, the all-time high, or we may find a small pullback and need to get all the way up here to find sellers. So I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe and leave me a comment. And I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.